Hey, I'm your pal Alice, coach of the Driftveil Darumakas and a part of the Holy Heck Pokemon Draft League, or HHPDL. Before getting into this league, I hadn't played competitive Mon since late Gen 5, early Gen 6, but I loosely kept up with it by watching videos from PokeMMD and Blunder. After a rocky start in Season 4, I slowly got a handle on things, and I'm excited to keep getting better. Season 4.5 was a shorter Ubers season, and I ran hot to make it all the way to finals. This video is a look back at my draft, along with some commentary on my games, talking through my reasoning and any plays I wish I had made differently in retrospect. The music in the background is an album by Cocaine Jesus called We're Worried About You. The link is in the description, along with links to all the builds I used and the builds my opponents used if they chose to share a base with me. Now the scripted part is over, and we're going to get right into the draft. Alright, so I had the first pick in this draft, so I wanted to play with my boy Groudon. I love this guy. Big red dumb idiot. Bulky guy, gets tons of status moves, spikes, stealth rocks. I don't know. He's just good. Following up with that, I grabbed Heatran. I wanted a ice resist, good grass resist, and also Heatran's already strong as hell, but with the sun boost, those fire stabs are hitting really hard. After that, I picked up Walking Wit. Well, this technically I had the pivot because first pick goes all the way down back up. Picked two in a row, so I picked up Heatran along with Walking Wake. It's another it's a Pokemon that doesn't necessarily need the sun, but it's nice to have like an offensive water that doesn't mind clicking Water Stab in the sun because Hydro Steam's obviously really strong. Fast Draco Meteor gets Flip Turn. Nice pivot action. After that, followed it up with Zeraora and Arceus fighting to kind of fill up my higher speed tiers a little bit. Arceus gets obviously tons of utility moves. That's it's a Stealth Rocker, Defogger, and it's just really strong setup threat with either Cosmic Power plus Body Press or Calm Mind. Any number of things. Although I didn't end up using a lot of utility options on this guy. I just basically ran the same set every week. After that, I picked up Megalodios along with Clefable. Just more utility mons. In retrospect, I wish I had gone with a defogger that wasn't item locked. Not being able to bring boots on my defogger really cut down on the amount of entries I could get to clear hazards and kind of keep my defensive game plan going. But, you live and you learn. Clefable is great. I didn't really use it much in the first half of the season, but towards the back end, I started really appreciating what this mon can offer. And then picked up Quagsire and Venusaur afterward. Having a second ground to kind of sometimes take a little bit of pressure off Groudon, although obviously Quagsire is quite a bit less bulky. But it can still be like an electric immunity that doesn't necessarily get worn down as much as Groudon does. It also, gets like every hazard ever. Its recovery. Quagsire's just a good dude. Venusaur being obviously a chlorophyll abuser brings that fast sleep threat. And I really don't know that this was the right pick in retrospect. It didn't really get as far as I needed it to get with regards to like wall breaking. Like the calcs just didn't line up very often. I think I only brought it like once. But again, you live and you learn. I could have also used free agency change at any point to kind of swap around some of my lower cost mons, but I really wanted to use this Venusaur. And then picked up Bisharp afterward. It's just another stealth rocker. Sucker Punch is always good to have. Stab knockoff, decent defensive profile with the Dark Steel typing. And I also, right at the end here, I picked up my boy Charizard. It's another Sun Abuser with the solar power choice specs, clicking overheat, big damage. But again, it just didn't line up quite well, because with the solar power sets, to really make a dent what you need to make a dent in this format, you just really want to be able to run specs on it, but that base 100 speed just didn't quite get there most of the time, and the power drop by running Scarf, as an example, was just not really worth it. But, we got some solid mons on this squad. Really like all these guys, individually at least. The team cohesion was but whatever. We'll get right into the games. First week, played against my boy Ryan. This is his first season playing Draft League. He knows basically nothing about competitive mons, but he's having a good time. He picked a bunch of his favorite guys, and he had some threats. Specifically, I was really worried going into it about this Lilligant. But overall, I think, this matchup is pretty good going into it, and it ends up playing out pretty well as well. We got the Frogster in here. He ended up being physical on the Greninja this week, which was kind of an interesting choice. I kept playing around a Hydro Pump that never came out. But anyway, Arceus eats the U-turn. Judgment does literally nothing to this Lugia. I eat an Aeroblast. Ice Beam here, and then the Greninja comes back in as I go out to my Latias. My Latias was sort of an answer to the Lugia because it's got Toxic, so I wanted to put that thing on a timer. I get U-turned on as I wish. I have to go with the special attack drop here. I just didn't really have a switch in for this Ursaluna. And my opponent probably should have clicked Blood Moon here, but yeah, didn't realize that Moonblast being super effective was actually still less damage than Blood Moon because of how the math works out. But I got the special attack drop off, so I do get the Wish here. And this is kind of where it starts to turn back in my favor, because not having to lose this Latias to deal with the Blood Moon is quite good. So I go for another Wish here. He goes for the Moonlight. I kind of thought he was going to switch out, honestly. But so he gets the Moonlight off, but then switches out afterward. Mystical Fire. A little bit of chip damage doesn't really matter too much. But now my Lati is Mega'd and back at full HP. He gets to recover off on his Lugia, but because he stayed in here, I am going to get this Toxic off. Putting this thing on a timer is huge, because obviously I got to break through this giant wall in order to really end the game. Naganadel comes back out. I go into the Clefable, and obviously I have to switch out here. I got caught on the double. So I go out into my Heatran, which basically eats any hit this Naganadel is going to go for and threatens it out. Yeah, just take nothing from this Hex. I get U-turned on, no Flame Body proc. I get my rocks up here because I knew I would force it out, and then so the Ursaluna comes back in. I'm kind of back in the same not great position that I was the first time this thing came in. But I go back onto the Latias. I can, try to take a hit on the switch or potentially eat this Earth Power that he's going to go for because, I am immune to that. And now my Lati is in versus this thing, and because I'm already in, I don't have to take a hit on the switch, and I'm just in a pretty good position. Mystical Fire for the special attack drop, so I can keep eating these hits and eventually just wear this thing down. I think I go for another Wish here. Yeah, Wish. Okay, the Lugia comes back in. The rocks go away. A little bit of chip on this thing again. The crit, obviously, I don't really think that mattered. It's like, what, an extra 6%? The Ursaluna comes back in. Get the Mist Ball on the switch, and now this thing's just dead because, yeah, I outspeed it. We get the Genesect coming back in. It's probably just going to U-turn is my thought, so I go out to the Frogster. Again, no Flame Body proc, but it doesn't matter. I'm not sure why the Iron Head came out first. Maybe trying to catch the Clefable? I'm not totally sure. But anyway, it goes for U-turn. Greninja comes back out, eats the Lava Plume. Pretty good chip damage on a resisted hit. And then again, I'm still scared of this Hydro Pump at this point, because I think that if anything, this Greninja is mixed. I'm just... eesh. So I go out to Clefable. Really, I'm kind of baffled by the Trailblaze, but, I mean, it is what it is. I get U-turned on here. Big knockoff. Knocks out the Focus Ash. It didn't really matter whatsoever, but I go back out to the Heatran, because again, just walls this thing. Immune to the Sludge Bomb. I get U-turned on, and this one's kind of funny. He told me about this after the game. He actually misread the type chart, and thought he would resist the fire hit, but he just dies to the Magma Storm. Because I thought the Greninja might try to come back in, and if I Magma Storm plus chip damage, if I remember right, that was like a roll to kill or something like that. But I pick up this Lilligant, and I'm so glad to have this thing gone, because that thing's huge threat. But then the Genesect comes back in. I don't remember what type that Technoblast was, but anyway, as resisted hit, Heatran is just a goat this game. Big Lava Plume takes out the Genesect, and it's just, I don't know, the game's kind of over from here. I go hard out to Clefable, because I can take any hit this thing wants to go for, and this is when I finally give it up. I'm like, okay, this thing just is fully physical with the Waterfall. But I eat a hit here. then next turn I get U-turned on. I think I just teleport. Yeah, and then Zero Aura comes in. And then, hello, big Plasma Fist. Nice, easy 2-hit KO, and then I can just clean up the rest of the guys as well. GG to my pal Ryan. One more Plasma Fist. I always think that move's gonna miss just because of where it hits on the screen. The animation is a little goofy. Alright, on to week 2. This was a terrifying matchup. I spent the whole week just fucking waking up in a cold sweat, thinking of Calyrex Ice. Just, oh my goodness. I ended up having an interesting tech with a Heatran with Iron Ball to underspeed it in its own Trick Room. But even that, I would have to, like, I have to sack them on every time this thing comes in, basically. It's tough. So we're gonna get right into this one. And I just lead Groudon. I just lead Groudon most of the time in this season, because just getting the sun up and getting usually a hazard is pretty free. Not a lot of mons are just gonna like straight up beat it 1v1. And I really didn't think he was gonna lead with the Calyrex, so I figured Groudon was mostly free. Directly out into the Arceus on the overheat does pretty good damage, but the second one's not gonna kill. I go out into my Arceus with Ice Beam. He recovers on the switch. I get an Ice Beam on this Crobat when it comes in. He goes for the Roost because obviously he outspeeds me. And I just keep clicking Ice Beam. This was definitely a mistake. I do this whole exchange with this Crobat just constantly throughout this game. And at any point, I could have just forced the issue by bringing in my Zero Aura. For some reason, I didn't calc Brave Bird when I was playing, and it only did like 20-something%, so like it was super free to bring in Zero Aura and get big chip damage on stuff, like get free knockoffs, or at least like Volt Switch around. But we ended up playing this game for a little while. So I'm actually gonna turn up the speed just a little bit. I think I eventually freeze him as well, because we just sit here spamming recovery moves and Ice Beams and Brave Birds and all sorts of nonsense. Yep, here's the freeze. So then, let's go back down to normal here. Tinkaton comes in, and I Ice Beam again on the switch, because I'm just trying to kill this Crobat. But obviously it does nothing to Tink. So I just Body Press, see how much damage that's going to do. I get T-Wave, I dodged the T-Wave. We're entering the Luck Zone. Out into Zero Aura, because if he goes for T-Wave again, yeah, it's fine. Just eat that. Yummy. I get a free knockoff as the Giratina comes in. Some nice chip damage on this thing, because kind of like the Lugia last game. This is just something I gotta wear through. And getting those lefties off is huge. I get burned on my Groudon here on the switch. This was kind of bad. I figured he would be toxic over Wisp, but I mean, it is bad. I'm just gonna be straight up. It's kind of bad, but like, it's not the end of the world. Like, I have plenty of win conditions on the team. I don't really need to rely on the Groudon doing big damage, though it is nice, obviously. Crobat comes in. I'm just gonna get my hazards up, because I can just kind of sit in on the Giratina forever. Not forever, but for a while. So I get a Spike. I go back into my Arceus, and again, like, I should have, like, why did I not go Zero Aura? It's like I was blind to the third spot on my team. It's crazy. We just keep clicking Ice Beam. And then here we go. I realized, I was like, wait, I have a Zero Aura. So I bring him out. Colonel Mustard, my beloved, on the Roost. Giratina comes in on a knockoff, and it's just dead. Oh, sorry. Actually, Plasma Fist here, and then the knockoff kills even with no item, I think. Yeah, here we go. Giratina down. Huge win for the home team. And then the Arceus comes in, and I'm pretty scared of this guy, so I Volt Switch out, bring in my Arceus. And oh my goodness, this Calm Mind put the Fear God in me. I start panicking immediately. Body Press, I'm like, oh, is this going to do more damage than Ice Beam? Then he goes for Calm Mind again. I'm like, alright, well, I'm just gonna like keep clicking buttons. Like, I'm just gonna make him kill me, basically. He's not gonna get infinite boost. I'm gonna fish for a crit or a freeze or something. And we just keep going. And then you'll never guess what happens again. I eat this. This is scary. And this recover was actually bad. I should have just kept clicking Ice Beam until this thing died, and then brought in something else. Like, making him kill me, if I can keep him around this much HP, it's a lot easier to finish the job. But I recover. He gets a free recover because of it. But then here's the Ice Beam. There's the second freeze. Let's go, dude. Alright. Now we're really gaming. And, like, now this thing can just die. I get a crit on the body press. I'm not convinced that it mattered, considering the RZ just stays frozen this whole time. Crobat comes back out. Eats this body press. Quad resist. I get taunted, but it doesn't really matter, because I'm just going to beam this thing. Hit with the Beaminators. I'm like, wait, 0 aura. And I eat the Brave Bird. Yeah, it does 27, not much. RCS Grass comes back in. Now it's dead. He's just sacking it. But he's sacking it, I believe, to bring in the horse. I think this is where the horse comes in. No, T-Tar first. Not sure on the thought process here in bringing T-Tar. Maybe he needed Sand Chip for specific KO ranges. But Mega's here. Dies to the CC. Now I think the horse comes in. This is kind of like a Hail Mary play at this point. And, like I said, every time this horse comes in, I have to sack something. So I think I just click Plasma Fist here or knock off something. Yeah, it probably should have been knockoff. I think that does slightly more, but the point is I just needed to get Chip. And, like, yeah, I just need to get Chip, make him kill me. He sets up the Trick Room. And then here's where the Heatran comes in. And it is Heatran time, baby. I was Steel Beam on this thing, because if I came in and it had full HP, Steel Beam was, like, the way I could guarantee get a kill. But because it's at half, I can just click Lava Plume. Don't have to risk the, I think it's 95 accuracy. Boom, Lava Plume, see ya, get out of here. And then the big guy comes in. I get a burn here, it doesn't actually matter. It just shaves like a turn off the clock, I think. Ooh, dies to the burn. Alright, your pal Alice won the battle, hooray! Into week 3, played against my boy Corey. Again, he hasn't played roughly since like late Gen 5, early Gen 6. We used to play a lot on Pokemon Online together. This was his first season back in. He's just, you know, using the increased points budget of the Uber season to just try out a whole bunch of different Mons. He ended up with a pretty scary Primal Kyogre squad, along with this Gliscor was pretty scary, but this team is basically what I thought he would bring out of his 11 Mons. So yeah, we're just gonna get right into this one as well. Lead off with RC is pretty free. I want to get my rocks up. The Lopunny lead is kind of fine. I think I just get faked out and U-turned here. Yeah, just no big deal. It's just doing nothing to me. This Fizdef RCS fighting was so goated this season. So I get a body press here, and his brain just stops working. Because whoop, Ice Beam. He forgot that RC's got Ice Beam. So this the bulky Ogre comes in, and this is not bulky Ogre. This is offensive Kyogre. But luckily, I have Spadef Quagsire, which just walls this thing forever. Try to protect. Not totally sure why, but I get the free switch. And yeah, Quagsire comes in, takes 35% from this Ice Beam, get the Toxic off. Unless I get frozen here, I can just wall this thing forever now. But I get the recover off. He realizes that it's just not happening. Right out of the Poopygon too. That's my boy Poopygon. A little bit of chip damage with the Earthquake. I think I get a Toxic off here as well. Or no, I just go straight out to Clefable. Take an Ice Beam. Eat the T-Wave. I kind of thought he would... Again, I thought my opponent would be Toxic over the alternate status, but Paralysis is like the one status that actually affects Clef a little bit. I get full parried here. Double full para. I get TP'd on. In comes the Lopunny. But because of all this chippy, I'm back at full basically. I eat this fake out, no problem. I am Fizdef. Eat a return. Eat is the wrong word, but I take one decently well. Get a T-Wave off on this thing, which is pretty huge. I think I just teleport out? Yeah. Bring in the Groudon. Because now, this is Choice Scarf Groudon, by the way. Because the Calcs just, they lined up pretty well overall. And I just get So many free kills with this thing. It's so strong. I love Groudon. I don't think I end up with a kill here, but this is the first entry. This is the warning shot. Out to Quag. I think I thought I was gonna get like T-waved or something, because he knows that I can't stay in on him forever, because I'll just get recovered, because I don't do quite enough with my EQs. I was too much of a coward. I don't think it mattered this week particularly, but I was too much of a coward to run Precipice Blades at any point. I just was not about to risk that accuracy. Anyway, I take like nothing from this Ice Beam. I get my Spike up. Because if we're gonna play the Switch game, I wanna keep those hazards up. Toxic on this thing is a good timer. This is when I learned obviously that this thing is Boots, so it's not like Scarf or anything like that. Wario comes back in. I'm not sure what he was trying to catch here on the Switch. Potentially the Groudon, but he didn't have hazards up, so like it didn't matter that much if he caught the Groudon here. But I switch into my Arceus to threaten this thing. But the floor just comes in, takes a body press decently well, and I don't want to take a Moonblast, so I'm just gonna go out to my Groudon. Gets the Wish off, but just fucking Heat Crash him. And here comes the Kyogre to try to scare me out, which this is fine. If it was a bit lower, I think, or no, Heat Crash was never gonna kill. Anyway, so I go back out to this thing that still walls it forever. Take an Ice Beam, no freeze, baby, too easy. Another Beaminators, click that recover, and I think I clicked Earthquake the next turn. Yeah, as he switches back out. I think he was trying to get a lucky freeze in order to break through my my Quagsire, but it just didn't come through. Another Earthquake. This thing's just gonna keep taking toxic damage as well. I will slowly wear through the Porygon. More spikes. More chip damage. More not getting frozen. More Earthquakes. Out to the Weavile as I go out to my Clefable. And then I do believe I clicked TP here, but I mostly just wanted to sack this thing now. Because if I can get the Groudon back in, I think the Kyogre is low enough that I can probably just Earthquake through. I don't exactly remember how the end of this game goes. It's been a while since this season played. Like, this is from August. I get triple axled here. Hits both. It was a roll to kill, I think. Well, it was a roll for 2 hits to kill, but I was still probably dead there regardless. Poopygon comes back in, but it gets to a KO by Earthquake at this point. Big Spike-inators. Low Bunny, it's paralyzed. Doesn't matter, yeah. I mean, Fake Out wasn't doing anything anyway, but, you know, he's got to click it, get his little chip damage in. EQ this thing. I do believe the Kyogre comes out. Kyogre just dies. Clears my sun, but I don't need my sun. I'm just clicking Earthquake and claiming all of my kills. Whoop, goodbye. God, this thing is so strong. I love Groudon. Into week 4. This is probably my toughest matchup of the regular season, and it shows by the end of it. This is one where I really, really got out prepped. But I learned a ton. About not always playing as defensively as I feel like I should. I think, especially against teams like this, once I realized my opponent's defensive core is just like nearly impenetrable for me if I'm playing safely, I need to start playing more aggressively, going for more aggressive switches to try to catch things so I can get more chip damage. This sounds pretty basic, but it took me a while to kind of grasp that a little more. Alright, we lead the Groudon, as always. I get party shotted on. I get farting shotted on. Big overheat, doesn't do too much. This thing's obviously really, really bulky. Dodge the Toxic. Ooh, too easy. Get up a Spike here, and then I go out to my Arceus because I realize this thing's not really gonna threaten me. But he just goes for Toxic again. I also didn't really have a switch in for Toxic. Yeah, it was kind of rough. This was kind of a prep mistake, I believe. Because looking at my opponent's defensive mons, I believe the Feeny also gets toxic. I could be mistaken about that. But like with the amount of like toxic that could be spreaded, I think I needed either like Clef or maybe even Bisharp, but probably Clef, because Clef also lines up decently into the Shaman, which is something that my team is very, very weak to. I was terrified of the Shaman. Anyway, so I get toxic. Solgaleo comes in. Obviously, I'm going for the Ice Beam because if the Gligar stays in, the Ice Beam is huge upside. Out to this, and God, this thing is toxic too. And oh my goodness. Everything on my team is on a timer. Comes in to dodge the Earthquake, gets more Toxic Chip. Okay, U-turned on here. I think I just clicked Overheat because I figured it would do more damage. But then the Feeny comes in. It was doing maybe like 10% of the Feeny anyway, so that miss doesn't matter. But I take more toxic damage. My Quag gets knocked. This is pretty bad because I didn't realize it in the moment. Because at team preview I was too shocked by the fact that my opponent just didn't bring the Blaziken and the Arceus Electric that I kind of over prepped for. But I didn't stop to think that my Quagsire was going to be really important to help check the Roaring Moon. And I just switch it in here, trying to catch like a Scald. I think... Hold on, I might have been unaware this week, so I probably shouldn't have been trying to switch in to catch the Scald regardless. Yeah, I was unaware for the Blaziken. So this Quagsire switch in was just like a huge mistake all around. I think it might have just been trying to find the best of the bad situation because I didn't really have a good switch into the Feeny, because my Groudon is going to take a pretty decent chunk from Moonblast. So was Arceus. And yeah, this thing is just pretty well positioned against the 6 that I brought. Anyway, get my rocks up. Get defogged on. I use that turn to recover. And now I know this thing's defogged, but I can't really punish it too well. I just figure I can get my rocks up again because he doesn't know for sure that I'm unaware, so he can't just like click Scald in front of me forever. And I don't remember if he was Scald or Moonblast. As attacking, might have been both. I don't know. Paste will be in the description if I can find a link to it. Protect here. There's no real reason for that protect because I was already at full. I guess it eats a toxic PP. I don't know. I'm sort of floundering in this game. Let's bring in the Arceus. I get U-turned on. I'm just getting absolutely owned at every turn in this game, basically. It's a tough one. This one's a real learning moment. I go into Greg because I can eat one Moonblast. I clicked the Plasma Fist here, I think. No, I actually did click the knockoff. This is a heads-up play. Kind of an easy one because obviously the Feeny's not going to want to switch in, or not going to want to stay in against the Plasma Fist. But I get the Eviolite off this thing, which is pretty good. Out to Groudon. Set up the Sun again. It just goes for Roost. And I actually don't remember what I do here. Okay, out to Wake, because I think this was one of the times when I realized I needed to start trying to do something. So I just go hard Wake because I don't think he's going to Toxic a second time. Like, he's not going to Toxic on my Groudon because the downside is too big for him there to lose a turn. So I eat this Earthquake decently well. But then the Feeny just comes back in, and I just needed a better way to break this Feeny. But I kind of thought it would, obviously, so I go for this flip turn. Back out to the Quag, which I really think it was just kind of like the best of the bad situation. I didn't really have like a actual switch into the Feeny. Although I guess if this comes in and I flip turn, going back out into Zeraora might have been the play. And then from there I could have gone to one of my Ice Beam Mons to catch the Gligar. But again, you live and you learn. This thing comes in and I am terrified. My Latios takes hits decently well from it, but if it gets like a flinch, or like if I switch Lottie in and I get special defense dropped from Seed Flare and then I get flinched, then I'm just kind of dead. But at this point, I obviously can't stay in with the Quagsire because I will just die. I don't really have an alternate play. This is again where I should have probably brought Clefable. Anyway, so I protect here. This is like a a silly attempt of me to like plan for long-term eating up Seed Flare PP, but obviously my opponent's gonna start playing around something like this if I keep doing it. Caught into my Lottie. And the Nightmare scenario. I get the 40% spit F drop. I stay in, go for the Ice Beam because I can still live a hit, and if I don't get flinched, I can kill it. But yeah, he obviously doesn't want to risk the Shaman this early on a flinch, so he just goes out to his big boy, Big Grim Snarl, Big Grimmy. I don't really know what to switch in here, so I bring out my Quagsire, I get Play Roughed. Again, like this game is a lot of me floundering because I just didn't think through these alternate plans that my opponent might bring. You just keep clicking Earthquake, and I eventually, like, I'm sort of playing too fast and loose with my Quagsire, because again, it's very important to deal with this this Roaring Moon long term. And I try to protect to eat a Seed Flare PP, but again, my opponent is starting to play around this. Now my Quag's basically sacked. This is just not a good situation. Switch out here, take an Air Slash, and then the Fiend comes back in here. I think I just go for Ice Beam again. Yeah, because I just have to try to kill the Shaman, but he's just not risking it. My opponent's playing very well. He knows the Shaman is one of his win conditions here. Out into the Groudon, take a Moonblast. Again, I don't take these hits very well, and the special attack drop is kind of relevant if I end up overheating on the switch here. But I just go for the Earthquake because I got special attack dropped, and then, you know, goes into the Gligar. Earthquake doesn't hit. Slowly but surely, my opponent is strangling me out of this game. They're playing, he is playing very, very well. And now here comes the Moon, because my Quagsire's chipped down enough, and this is also when I learned that Moon can be Proto Speed. I didn't even like prep for this. I didn't think about it. Nothing. So I'm thinking about my Zeraora in the back, and I'm like, oh man, I could have been Scarf on this if I was trying to play around Booster Speed. I could have also been like Scarf Proto Speed Wake. I had a couple of ways to potentially play around this, or like trying to, you know, set up my team in such a way that I can force this out easier to get rid of the booster. But you know, it is what it is. This fast, scary guy's gonna come in, declaw my Quagsire, knock him out. Just get you turned on here. And I'm sorry, I don't know why I assume this was booster speed. Of course, the sun is up, which is why the Moon is faster. But my point being, I didn't realize that Photosynthesis could be could boost speed on this guy. Sorry, stumbling over my words a bit. So I go for the Ice Beam here, but again, I just got U turned on, so this thing just resists it. I get a nice recover off here, but he also gets the Morning Sun. And I'm just not winning any of these exchanges. And to top it all off, I get my Lottie Toxic here. I go for the recover, and I think he just starts ripping Sunsteel Strikes, and this is where the game is basically over. It's been mostly over for a while, but it's, yeah. I'm just getting toasted by these defensive bonds that I can't break through. You know, take the Sunsteel here. And I just don't really know what to do at this point, so I'm sort of just clicking buttons. I'm just gonna skip this. So I bring in Noodles here. The Gligar comes in, and this was a pretty good double switch here. Instead of like going for EQ or anything like on the Solgaleo, trying to double out and catch the Gligar, but it is too little, too late. Now to the Feeny. I think I just ended up flip turning again. No, I do just go for the Hydro Steam. Hard out to Zeraora, because this was Scarf Wake, but it was Proto Special Attack. So I was locked in. I couldn't like flip turn out or anything. I just had to just go hard out to Zeraora here. And I got to Lottie to try to catch the Gligar, because I think the Gligar is going to come in on a Plasma Fist. This is also a good switch, but again, it's just too little too late. Old Grimmy comes in again. I think I finally KO this thing. And a little bit of backstory. The first time I played against Roromia was my first Draft League match ever, and I got soundly 6-0'd. So I was pretty excited to get a single KO here. I think I said something. We were in BC during this game, and I said, all right, didn't get 6-0. We're safe. But now the moon comes back in. Big D-Claw. Bring in the Zeraora, but he has the Solgaleo to come in on it. I Volt here. And I think I try to get one more Proto with my Wake. Okay, so staying for the overheat. Do I switch out to try to get one more entry? I genuinely don't remember at this point. But of course he's gonna Morning Sun here. Earthquake is decent. I guess this is actually better. Because I can actually try to kill the oh god, this is so sad. I can try to kill the Solgaleo, but he is Colberberry at the end of the day. He said this was part of his prep for Bisharp, but it came in clutch here as well. I don't think I was going to be able to win the game from this position, but my KD wouldn't have been quite as bad, I guess. But, you know, he lives it. I get EQ'd here. Big Walking Wake, but I can't beat this. Oh, I do get the kill here, so I did get 4-0'd instead of 5-0'd. But again, it just doesn't matter. It's not like I can win from this position. I would have to get like crit into crit into crit into crit into crit, but GG Rormia. Get his ass in playoffs. Week 5, played against Twitter Mutual that I invited to this league. Yeah, she had a really interesting team. Lots of mid-tier mons. There was no real like low-cost guys, and it wasn't very top-loaded. She started with Mewtwo, and I don't know why she didn't bring Mewtwo to this game. But she still has a pretty interesting setup here. She's got like the terrain with Coco into the Quark Drive Iron Hands. And this Mega Sceptile is kind of scary. So is the Ogerpon. Yeah, let's get right into this one as well. In comes Jet Ray. So I had my like Clefable as like a pretty good Mandibuzz switch in. Like I could probably get knocked off, but getting knocked off is not the end of the world. I can get Toxic all day. It doesn't matter with Magic Guard. But instead what I did was I stayed in here. I get the Wisp on this thing, and I get Toxic. This was not a great trade. It ended up being pretty decent. But I still think it would have been better to just go hard Clef turn 1. But I go Clef here. I think she was expecting me to like Stone Edge maybe. I don't know if it lived to Stone Edge. I didn't actually calc anything because I just knew that it was time to go out to Clefable. I get Toxic. Does not matter. I see the weak armor go off. I'm like, oh shit, I'm glad I burned this thing. I knock off those lefties. But now she's just going to keep spamming Roost. So I get the TP out, bring in my Zeraora, and I figure I can, you know, do pretty good here against most things. But the hands comes in. Pretty sure I just Volt Switch. Okay, no, I went for the Plasma Fist first. Yeah, which makes sense, because if the hands comes in to eat it, I can still get the switch off for free next turn, because I believe I'm Heavy Duty Boots. Yeah, go for the Volt Switch here. Chip damage doesn't really matter, I guess. Bring in Lottie, take big damage from the Play Rough. Then, you know, I just come in, I Roost. Now I'm Mega Evolved, I take even less from this Play Rough. Yeah, I honestly, when I switched in, I didn't think about the coverage moves this thing has. I played like super fast and loose with this early game. But once I got the Latias in, I figured I shouldn't just switch out. I gotta at least like Mega and get that off so I can come in easier in the future. And then the Mandibuzz comes in on the double switch. But again, I can just go right out to my Clefable, my trusty Clefable. The Sableye catches me, which is a little scary. Petrarch comes in. I'm not sure why I don't think Toxic was the play there. I don't know really what the play was necessarily. But anyway, the Petrarch comes in, eats the Toxic. But I go to my Bisharp. Bisharp is just the freest switch in on this thing. It just doesn't take damage from the ghost moves. Well, it does take damage, but it resists them, obviously. Immune to poison, you know, just none of this bullshit. And if I get party shotted on, I get the Defiant boost. Like, this is just kind of brutal. Every time this pet drone comes in, I can just bring in Bisharp and click knockoff. Bonk. Does nothing to the Mandibuzz, obviously, but keep it pushing. Out to Clefable for free on the Mandy. We are wearing through these roosts. And I TP out. Because again, you know, because the Clef can come in for free on the Mandibuzz every time, I just click TP because it can't do anything to me, especially when it's burned. So that I can get good advantages like this. I maybe should have gone directly out into my Bisharp here, but anyway. The Zera comes in, Volt Switch into the Protect, and I just Volt Switch again here. Bring out the Walking Lake. I was Scarf this week as well. Big Draco to knock this thing out. I think I calced incorrectly, but I remember calcing this at one point because I was also Dragon Pulse. And I didn't have to risk it. For some reason I was like, oh, if she's like super in my head, she might not Mega and live this Dragon Pulse, so I have to click Draco Meteor. Not a big difference one way or the other, but Pulse was a safer click there. Coco comes in, back out to Groudon, taking nothing from this discharge. I'm probably gonna get U-turned on here. Again, I don't remember what some of these games, how like specifics of these games played out. But I think because she goes hard out to the Mandibuzz, I don't think the Coco's U-turn. I think it's Volt Switch instead. But I'm just clicking Heat Crash. I'm just here. We're just doing some big damage now. Big damn. It's just gonna get stuck in a Roost loop here. I'm gonna take Toxic a bunch, but I'm just slowly gonna break through this thing. Yeah, once this is gone, I mean, once it's gone, it's gone. I go out to the Clef on the Petch. Petch was a pretty good switch in, I guess. Because obviously it can threaten the Clefable, and I've shown that the Clefable is going to come in on the Mandibuzz every single time. But now the Bisharp comes right back in. Takes nothing from this Malignant Chain. Big knockoff, huge even. I think I just click Iron Head. No, I keep clicking knockoff because I don't think this thing's going to stay in. But it keeps staying in. So I go out to the Clefable. I'm like, alright, we're just going to do this again. Taking nothing from this Brave Bird, so I just teleport out, bring the Groudon back in. I'm clicking Heat Crash. This thing's already at half defense. Like, I'm gonna break through this thing. God, finally. I think she tried to sack it here because she could have roosted one more time. Or maybe she was out of roosts. Let's actually go back and double check here. Okay, no, she still had roosts, but maybe saw the writing on the wall. Just wanted to get a little bit of momentum by sacking it. Yep, weak armor. This thing is so fast, but then it dies to the burn here. Big Ogre Pond. This was so sick. I ran the calcs on this, and we weren't in BC for this one, but I literally said, no way I live this. Turns out I do. I just lived an IV cudgel from 60%. Like, that's just insane to me. This guy's so bulky. I get the Heat Crash off here. Obviously just wipes this thing off the face of the earth. With the lefties, I live my Toxic Chip, so I get one more Sun entry, and I decide to save it. As she goes for the Protect to try to get the last bit of toxic damage. Oh. And then the Coco comes back in, but I knock off, as I've been doing every single time. And I feel vindicated here because I actually ran the calcs to be able to kill this thing with knock into Iron Head. And it actually came up. I didn't think it would. I live a discharge very easily. And I'm actually wrong because I was Poison Jab. That was the calc, not Iron Head. This guy comes in here, and then I'm back out to Groudon. I get my Son of one last time and sack it here. Back out to my Latias. Big missed ball here. We are living that play rough, baby. It's honestly too easy. Again, Latias, so bulky. So bulky. Groudon and Mega Latias impressed me a lot this season with their bulk. Just fire off another missed ball here. 2 KOs to Petron on the switch. It doesn't really matter at this point. I have enough missed balls to just keep clicking it. She has to get like a million protects in a row for it to matter. And we are cleaning it up. And that is the end of the regular season. Like I said, the season was a little bit shorter. A lot a bit shorter, actually. It's only 5 weeks for the regular season as opposed to 10. But now we are going into playoffs. My KD was insane this season because of how some of the games played out. And I secured one of the buys as a result. So I didn't have to play round 1 of the playoffs. So I skipped straight to the quarterfinals. And this is Lursion. He's a player in the league that I would say like we're about on par with each other. Both pretty solid players. Like I'm not gonna call myself an amazing player, but I'm getting there, getting a little better. And he's the same way, he's always getting better bit by bit. He's got a very scary team. Something about these horses in the Uber season. I've been scared of all these Arceus forms. I've been scared of the Calyrex, and now we got the Palkia. He's also got the, obviously the Lando T, Pex, and Mega Sableye, very strong defensive mons. And Meowscarada with being a fast offensive pivot. And then we have the Screen Tail in the back as the bulky Wishpasser. Anyway, so we start out this game. Again, we are just leading with Noodles. That's my boy. Mega Sableye eats this Earthquake for breakfast. I get burned here. Why did I stay in? I really just should have gone to the Clefable. But it is what it is. I don't really need the burn to win this game. I'll go out to my Airbus A320. Big Magma Storm. This just fucking dies. I didn't think it would die. I was actually trying to catch like the Toxapex on a potential switch in because I can trap the Pex and kill it. But Lando dies. Easy. Pex comes in here. And again, I know I can trap this thing, and I think that he might know I can trap this thing. So I go for Earth Power, thinking that it's like a better neutral click as opposed to risking a Magma Storm on the switch, like if the Palkia wants to come in as an example. But he stays in, eats this Earth Power. I get knocked off. It does not matter at this point. I'm pretty sure he thinks that I'm going to switch out. So he's going to go for a recover. And I click Magma Storm here, because if I get it off, I just trap this thing. And now the Pex is dead. Heatran was so good. I don't think I brought the Heatran enough this season, but when I did bring it, it was very, very good. Taunt the Pex, so it can't go for recover. And, boom, Earth Power. I don't actually know if he was a water move this game. I don't know if he was trying to, catch something on the switch in or what. But he clicks knockoff here. I lived a water move anyway. It did 40%, but still not really sure why he went for knock. And I just get the guilty Earth Power here. And this game, it's so much more opened up now. I still have to do a decent bit of work to break through this Palkia, but with the Pex and the Lando gone, my life is quite a bit easier. No floater to go over my Earthquakes, things like that. But I go out to my Clefable here. I was max SpDef, max HP. So a Hydro Pump from Palkia did it was low 50%. It was enough so that I could guarantee live unless I got crit twice in a row. I could live by just protect, wish, install out the Hydro Pumps. That was the idea. And then once the Hydro Pumps are gone, my other mons can help deal with this thing a little bit better. But goes for the sub on the switch. He's Surf instead of Hydro, which is that's pretty good for me. But I Moonblast to break the sub here. And I think I just wish, yeah, as the Screen Tail comes in. And I teleport out, get my Heatran back in, wish it up a little bit. One thing I know I do this game is I I wish a little too much. Like, I'm a little bit too obsessed with, like, healing up my mons when I don't necessarily need to, and I should be trying to exert a little bit more pressure. But yeah, the heat train comes in, and then to receive the wish, he baton passes into the Palkia here, and I go for the Magma Storm. I quote unquote trap it, but this thing outspeeds me and just kills my head off, so I have to switch out anyway. Out to the Clef, and this was shiesty. This right here. So I heal from lefties, and I think I have to go for Protect. But even then, because of how cavalier I was with my Clefable's HP this game, like not making sure I get my, I don't think I protected last time I was in to get a guaranteed turn to chip heal. I think that's what it was. But now I am in range for a high roll Surf, so I have to play around this a little bit. I have to go into my Groudon to get this Sun up. He goes for sub, obviously, knowing that I probably have to switch out to preserve my Clefable, so this was a pretty heads-up play from him. And then I want to break the sub here. I don't know if I necessarily needed to, or if I could have just gone out to the Clefable immediately to eat this Spatial Rend. Or I thought it was going to be a Surf, but it was a Spatial Rend. But I needed... Anyway, he gets the crit here. I needed the Sun up, that way my Clefable could live another Surf. So I break the sub here. I save the last little bit of my HP. Again, I think he should have gone for Surf here, but it wouldn't have killed. Like, I'm at a point where high roll Surf, like max roll did like 42. So I would take like maybe 21 here, go to 19, go up to 25 after lefties, and then I can get a free wish off because the Sun is still up. And unless I get crit on one of those turns, I'm totally fine. But makes it a little easier because I switch on the Spatial Rend that I'm immune to. So now I can get another wish off, and now I'm safe again. Now I just have to keep playing around this Palkia well. I definitely after those first 2 KOs, I was a little bit too aggressive, and I wasn't as wary of some of my opponent's threats as I should have been. But now I'm back at full HP. Hard out into Fursuit Fred, because I was pretty sure after the wish that Protect was going to come out. But again, you know, heads up play, credit to Lorceon, going for the Dazzling Gleam on the switch in. And this doesn't really matter. The Protect just kind of stalls the turn. I think I click Knock again here. I maybe should have. I was play rough, and I could have 2-hit KO'd the Sableye on the switch in. But I wasn't thinking of the mon my opponent would switch in to absorb a knockoff. Again, I'm always, it's one of my big weaknesses that I've noticed recently, especially, is I tend to click before fully thinking through my plays. And this is an example of that. It didn't matter too much. I am Life Orb. So I go for the Volt Switch here, bring in the Clefable. I get knocked, and that's kind of bad. But again, because the Palkia is Surf and not Hydro Pump, I don't necessarily need my lefties to live, though of course the chip heal is super nice. And we're just going to keep doing this Clefable and Screen Tail thing. We're wishing, we're baton passing, we're teleporting, we're doing all sorts of shit. TP out to the Zeraora, get wished back up. This was kind of the idea that I had a little bit with the team, and this was probably a bit greedy, but wishing up my Life Orb Zeraora. I just did not want to be choice banned this game, but I wanted a little bit of a damage boost. So now we're going to start firing off some hits, looking for some chip damage on some things. And BP out. Luckily, this was so key. I think this happened like 2 or 3 times this game, where the Screen Tail passes the Spidef, or the special attack drop to the Palkia. Like, of course it gets wished up, but now it's not really going to be much of a wall breaker at -1. I think I can just Volt here. Yeah, right out into my Clef. And at -1, I'm taking nothing from that. So I just, go for the wish. And after I realized that I could baton pass the special attack drop, I start fishing for it to try to punish these wish passes a little bit more. And then I also don't want to waste my Moonblast PP, because I feel like if the game goes long enough as I'm trying to break through this thing, Moonblast PP could be a real resource. So I'm trying really hard to play around the protects, and I successfully did there. I got the teleport off, bring in my Zero Aura, and now I think I just click Plasma Fist again. No, I finally get this thing's leftovers knocked off. That's what I get done. And I Volt here. Volt again. We're just gonna keep playing this game. It's a little easier now that the lefties are gone. I want to get my Sun back up. Into the Meow. And my Arceus just walls this Meowscarada. We got, you know, Arceus, Godflow, Cypher, Apostle coming in. I just get U-turned on here. The Screen Tail comes back in. And you're never going to guess what move I brought on my Arceus. It's just Ice Beam again, baby. Ice Beams all the way down. But anyway, hard out to the Clefable, because we are just going to keep doing this. I keep trying to catch, you know, more protects to waste those, but again, heads up play, going for the Dazzling Gleam there. I started fishing for the Moonblast drop. Get the wishes off. Huge Moonblast. Okay. I know I keep fishing for it. I think it takes another turn or two. I believe I get one more drop here before the game ends. But, you know, I TP out, get my Sun back up. Wish up the Groudon. Now you can get more Sun entries if it comes to that. But again, I don't think I needed to. I think it was just kind of wasted turns where I could have been trying to make more progress. He ends up getting a Wish off on his Mega Sableye, which is sort of bad for me. And again, I'm just fishing for that drop, hoping to get another one. Yep, I Wish on the Protect turn. Teleport out, bring in the Zero Aura on the Wish. Heal up my Zero Aura with a Wish here. Start firing these Plasma Fists off. Volt Switch on this fella. Back out into Cleft, because I can, you know, eat the Wisp or whatever. I don't care about being willowed. Here's the Moonblast. I get the drop here. My opponent goes for the Wish. Finally sacks this thing. And after it took so many turns, so many turns, but I finally broke through the Screen Tail, which means the game is finally over. It is finally checkmate at this point. I don't think I can lose. Big Moonblast. Special attack drop didn't matter really. But he switches out to refresh it. This was maybe a bit greedy of me to go for the Wish here. I probably should have just clicked Moonblast, because I should just be trying to kill this Palkia. But, you know, I get the Wish off. I Moonblast this guy. Now I'm back at full. Yay! And Moonblast again. He lets this thing go down. I believe the Palkia comes back in. Yeah, he's just going to try to get, like, I don't know, crit into crit. Maybe get there. But I Wish. He realizes he's not going to break through. So fucking Moonblast. Huge damage. Obviously Meow's like made of paper. But yeah, there's not really much to commentate on for the last little bit of this game. It's just kind of over. Going through the motions a little bit. Moonblast takes this thing down. Palkia comes back in. Huge Surf. Teleport out, bring in the Walking Lake. And bang. Big Draco. GG Lorceon. On to the semifinals. And here is the Roramia rematch. This team is a little bit better suited, I think, to taking on the Mons that I should have been scared of the whole time. I did make a consideration on the Venusaur. Or rather, I made a concession. I couldn't fit all the coverage I wanted and also growth, and I thought growth was going to be really important, so I neglected to bring Earth Power. And that does harm my my Arceus matchup here. But we'll see how this one plays out. Obviously, you know, as if we don't already know. The Feeny comes in. And of course I'm just gonna switch out. It's like immediately. I don't want to mess around with this thing. Goes for the Grass Knot. Does not do much. In comes the Arceus. Big knockoff. Does not matter, obviously. So this thing goes for Iron Defense, and I'm kind of panicking because I got set up on by an Arceus back in week 2 of regular season, and I'm just getting flashbacks to that. I'm like, oh god, I'm just gonna have to go for a freeze, aren't I? Misses the Whirlpool. This was Iron Defense Whirlpool Trap Arceus, Whirlpool Perish Trap Arceus, and it was trying to catch my Groudon in the Whirlpool. Luckily I dodged this one. Losing my Clef would have been absolutely catastrophic. Like, I just would have lost the game, I think. But I TP out to the Lottie here. I get the Mega off. I dodge another Whirlpool. Again, this is what I mean when I say I ran hot to make it to finals. Like, I got, you know, everyone gets positive and negative RNG, but my positive RNG came at some pretty key points this season. I'm just trying to chip this thing down at this point. Flashes in my head. One of my best friends and the leader of this league, the person who runs the league, administrator, I guess is a better word. They told me that I was kind of glum after I froze my opponent twice in my week 2 match, and they told me it's totally valid to fish for a freeze if your opponent's just fucking around, and that message flashed in my head a little bit as I went for that Ice Beam, and I luckily got the freeze here. And this Arceus is gonna stay frozen for quite a while. I'm just not totally sure why I went out to the Groudon here. If I was interested in using this freeze to end the game, which obviously I should be, because, you know, this is playoffs, this is serious business. I should have probably just gone to the Venusaur sooner and then growthed up potentially twice. But I get the growth off here. Still frozen. This comes in. Big Weather Ball. Just fucking knocks this thing's head off. In comes the Solgaleo, and again that turn that I wasted in the sun. It comes back to bite me a little bit. Or rather, not the turn I wasted in the sun. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what I'm talking about at this point. The not having Earth Power to hit this thing outside of the sun is kind of coming back to get me a little bit, in addition to not having it for the Arceus. But I eat a Sunsteel Strike here. I get Toxics, which is not the end of the world. Again, this Solgaleo and the type resist berries, my goodness, eats this Earthquake pretty well. Easy Morning Sun. Go for the Willow here. I got to my Latios because now the calcs are pretty favorable. Like, I can take a Sunsteel pretty well, but it just goes for the Earthquake, which I obviously just can just dodge. I go for Wish. I dodge a Toxic. I'm just getting so lucky at just the right points here. VP out, trying to heal up my guy a little bit, in addition to dodging the Toxic on Latios. Morning Sun here. Get my hazards up. I thought he was going to switch out into the Gligar, which is why I went for the Spike. But he gets a Morning Sun off instead. And we're just going to be trading Earthquakes, I think. I don't believe I knocked this thing out here. Yeah, I go out to the Lottie again, trying to catch this Gligar. Or the Gligar's already dead. I'm trying to catch the Shaman as the other floater here. Go for the Wish with my Latios. Again, I'm just trying to heal this thing back up. Gives my opponent time to fish for more Thaws. So I get my Sun up in addition to healing the Groudon, and then I go out to my Venusaur trying to get another sweep going. I believe it was a roll for Weather Ball to kill here. Obviously, it didn't get it. But I finally KO this thing. Solgaleo comes out. I think it might have been the play to stay in and click Weather Ball here, but I was too locked into my previous play pattern of having the Groudon in on the Burn Solgaleo and just trading Earthquakes over and over. It also would have been nice to stay in for that extra turn, that way the sun would actually go away, and then when the Groudon did come back in, I could get the sun back up. But it didn't actually matter too much. My opponent and I were also bantering a little bit back and forth in voice chat about all the unfortunate RNG that he was getting in this game. Anyway, the Shaman comes in on the Earthquake. And then here's where Clefable, my goat, comes in. This is max Spadef Clefable with Covert Cloak, so I can just Moonlight in this thing's face. I think I have Ice Beam as well to deal with it. I Moonlight again here, thinking that it's gonna hit me, but it doesn't, so I sort of waste the Moonlight. Debatable. Back out into the Groudon on this thing. And I believe I'm just going to keep clicking Earthquake. Yummy Sunsteel Strike. Eat that for breakfast. Oh, I get another Spike Up. I don't think he's going to stay in. I think he's going to go into the Shaman again. I keep thinking that. And I keep trying to catch this thing. I finally get Toxic here. Back out into the Groudon. The Feeny comes in, and I'm just gonna, get wished back up. And I keep doing this where I don't plan my turns correctly to try to get the Groudon in to reset the sun, which is what I think I need to be doing. Out into the Clefable, so I can take whatever hit this thing wants to go for. Defog is fine. And the Venusaur obviously was my switch in for the Feeny, but it was a nice double from my opponent to bring in the Roaring Moon. And then I do believe I just have to sack my Latios here, because I want to get the Zeraora in. I can go for the Play Rough here, just clean this thing up. Volt Switch on this guy. Back into the Groudon once again. Get my sun up. Take nothing from this Earthquake. The EQ can kill this guy from here, but he Morning Suns. How many of those we got left? We got 2 Morning Suns left. And my opponent can just keep going for it. In the sun, it heals him back to full every time, and I just get Toxic Chipped. But he'll run out eventually, and we will break through. Back out into the Venu against the Feeny. Eat that Moonblast for breakfast. But I don't have Sun anymore. Obviously this thing's immune to the Sludge Bomb. I can go back out into my... I go into the Quagsire actually now. I'm not fully sure why I went to the Quag specifically. Maybe it was just to try to catch the Shaman with an Ice Beam on the switch. I don't think it matters too much at this point. So I just basically sack this thing to the Grass Knot. And Zeraora can come in, start doing Zeraora stuff. Humongous Plasma Fists. Clean up the Solgaleo. Shaman Sky comes back in. Volt on this thing, because I was convinced it wasn't going to stay in, and also I don't think I had something that could actually kill it, so I just get my chip damage off with the Volt Switch, go out into the Clefable, and because I'm still at 100%, I can just wall this thing. I played a bit too safely here. I kept trying to, like, keep my HP high, but, like, literally I should have just clicked Ice Beam. Like, this thing was just dead. So I get Seed Flared, I click Moonlight. This is just kind of BM on accident, because I just wasn't thinking through my plays. I was playing too safely, and then I'm like, oh, wait, I can just kill this. And then the Venu comes back in. Huge Venu. Yummy. And I indeed got his ass in playoffs. So now we are on to the finals. Playing against my best friend Luke. They are like I said, they run this league. And looking at this team, I am absolutely terrified. I thought I prepped well for this game, but basically as soon as it started, I realized that I just did not have enough of a plan to break through the defensive combination of Tinglu, Galarian Weezing, and Vaporeon. So sort of like my week 4 match, I kind of get strangled out of this one. But we do have a lot of back and forth in the early game, which I do think it's important to go back through here. So go back out into my Arceus, or rather I lead Groudon, I go out into the Arceus to try to threaten the Tinglu, gets the rocks up, and then the Galarian Weezing is just going to come in and eat this body press. And this is the beginning of my troubles. My opponent just had an answer for everything. Like, I had mons that could deal with each of these defensive mons individually, but the combination of them, I didn't have a good sequence planned out to where I could try to break through. And that ends up being my undoing a little bit. And this combination of Stealth Rock and T-Spike also is my undoing. My opponent was... It's funny, I made it all the way to finals before I had an opponent that realized how weak I was to consistent hazards, because like I mentioned when I went over the draft at the beginning of the video, having both of my potential defog mons be item locked so they couldn't be boots was a giant weakness in my draft, and I get punished for it pretty hard here. Especially because the Weezing is neutralizing gas, which means I can't even float over the T-Spike with my Latias if the Weezing is in. So I Heat Crash here, trying to do big damage to the Weezing, but obviously the Tinglu just comes back in, takes nothing. I don't know my RCs to try to threaten this thing. I eat a Ruination, I eat rocks, and I get poisoned here. Like, this is a horrible turn for the home team. I defog here, but because the Weezing just came right back in, they can just get back at Toxic Spikes, and it's not going to end well for me. And with, this isn't even Toxic Poison, but with the Strange Steam plus Toxic Chip every turn, I am not really coming out ahead with these recovers. I think I'm net gaining like 2 to 3% every turn, which is just not enough. And after a couple of turns, I just kind of... I think my opponent assumed I was going to switch out there, but I get a recover off on the T-Spike, and then I think... I think about recovering this turn, but I don't think I end up going for it. Yeah, I just go for the Ice Beam, like maybe a Freeze. The Freeze bail me out. Ugh. Okay, so we do this for a couple more turns, and after being so stubborn here, I eventually just give up. I'm like, okay, this is not working. Out into my Zeraora, eat a Strange Steam, not particularly well. Obviously the Tinglu's gonna come in here, but I Volt for some reason. I definitely should have gone for Knock there. Anyway, I go hard out to the Lottie. Get a Toxic off on this thing. Pretty excited about that. I take a Ruination, but that's all it can really do for me, or against me, because I don't think it's Crunch. Does it say you even get Crunch? Anyway, I BP out as the Vaporeon comes in. Tinglu comes back in, and now I get it knocked off. Get these lefties out of here. And this is pretty good for me. I can start trying to work through this Tinglu. And ideally I need to get rid of this Vaporeon so my walking weight can go hard. But breaking the Tinglu, it's not like it's not important. It's part of the defensive core. I gotta make it through all those guys eventually. Vaporeon comes in here as I recover. Toxic this, and then I'm like, oh sweet, I'm getting Toxic on a lot of things. This is awesome. It's on pass out to my Clefable. Unfortunately, a bell is about to chime, and those past few turns are kind of undone. I still have knocked off the leftovers on this Tinglu, which is good. But oof, that heal bell was kind of huge. Weezing comes back in as I TP out into my Groudon. I try to threaten this thing again. I believe I go for Heat Crash. Or maybe it was Earthquake this turn. I Anyway, I think this is the start of the sequence of turns that I get very wrong. So the sun finally gets set up. The Tinglu comes in here. Go for the heat crash. Probably should have clicked to Earthquake, I think. I click Earthquake here as the Ho-Oh comes in. No, this whole exchange is later. So I come in on this Ruination again. The Vaporeon comes in. I get another Toxic off. It doesn't really matter, though. Recover here, I believe. Oh yeah, the Wish goes up, and then I get Flip turned on after, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, out to the Clefable. I get Flip turned on. Wheezing comes back in, and I am just slowly but surely, these defensive mons are getting through me. Like, I'm trying my best to keep up, but little by little, I am getting chipped down here. I obviously can't stay in as the Clefable versus this Wheezing, so I go out to my big boy Noodles, eat that Gunk Shot. And I thought the Tinglu might come in, and EQ did more to that, but this time my opponent brings in their Ho-Oh. Obviously takes nothing from this Earthquake. And I'm like, oh, I can go for Stone Edge here. But now the Tinglu comes in. Eats the Stone Edge for breakfast, takes nothing. And all the while, this toxic damage is just building. This is probably, I think, obviously there were more turns that I didn't get right in this game, but I believe this exchange here, these few turns where I'm racking up toxic damage, this is where the dam sort of starts to break. I get an Earthquake here, I take an Earthquake, take big toxic damage, and go out to the Lottie, trying to get a Wish off to heal this thing up. I believe I was trying to catch the Wheezing with a Mystical Fire. I don't fully remember. I don't even go for the Wish there. Anyway. That's because I was recovering this game. Oh my goodness, that's embarrassing. So my RC finally gets broken through here. Lottie comes back in. I get poisoned. And that's when I realized that neutralizing gas interacts that way. Like, of course it does, but seeing it kind of made it real in my head. Go for the recover here, but it's just not working out because I'm taking too much from the Strange Steam plus Toxic, or regular Poison rather. I can take one Strange Steam here. There's big Plasma Fists. It's just not enough. I'm just, again, once I hit a point in the game where I don't really know what to do, I just sort of start to flounder, and that's definitely a weakness of mine. I should take a bit more time to sort of craft a game plan of like how I can win the game and how I can try to get there, even if it involves a bit of luck, you know, a couple of Hail Marys here and there. Unfortunately, my opponent does get the Double Protect here, stalling out the Groudon. And yeah, it's just over at this point. I needed a far better plan to break through the Vaporeon. And see, I can't even lock into Hydro Steam here because my opponent still has the Vaporeon, and they can just go into it for free every single time. But they can go into it for free here as well. Yeah, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't, because it's not like I can Draco either with the Wheezing in the back. But I believe we're approaching the point where I forfeit. Because I realized I get in and I'm like, this is probably like 40 more turns. Or not 40, but this is, you know, a few more turns of going through the motions. But I eventually lose my win condition here. I think, yeah. Oops. Didn't mean to restart there. Yeah, I forfeit at this point because I'm like, well, I don't have Sun. I need Sun for Wake to break through things. I need the Vaporeon to be gone for Wake to break through things. And it's just very clearly over at this point. But great game. It was not particularly close in the end, but it was a good game. We had lots of back and forth in the beginning, and you know, came down to that. There was that exchange with Groudon where I racked up too much Toxic Chip, and yeah, after that the dam just broke open and eventually led to my loss. But good game, Luke. I'm excited to hopefully meet them in playoffs in Season 5. yeah, hope you enjoyed the video.